All right, let's dive in. Today, we're digging into the work of a classic philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer, to find something that feels, well, super relevant right now. A real, practical blueprint for a quieter, calmer life. But what is it about his advice from the 1800s that hits so close to home for our 21st century burnout? Let's find out.
I mean, just think about it for a second. It's the constant buzz from your phone, the endless scroll, that nagging feeling that you're always behind. It's this relentless pressure to just do more, and it can leave us feeling anxious and just completely wiped out. So what's the alternative?
And that's the huge idea we're going to unpack. We're all taught that happiness comes from getting more. More stuff, more likes, more status. But Schopenhauer just completely flips that on its head. He suggests the real path to peace isn't through adding things, but by subtracting them.
So where do we even begin? Well, Schopenhauer argues that before you can find a cure, you've got to understand the disease. He believed our happiness, or, our lack of it, really boils down to how we see three key parts of our lives. Let's break those down.
Okay, so here they are. First, there's what you are. That's your inner world, your thoughts, your health, your character. Then there's what you have, all your stuff, your money. And finally, there's what you represent, basically your reputation, how other people see you. And here's the kicker, Schopenhauer's big insight: we spend most of our energy chasing the second and third, and we totally neglect the one that actually matters.
First up, and this is the most important one by far, is what you are. This is all the internal stuff, your health, your character, the quality of your own mind. Think of it like a car. You can have the shiniest, most expensive-looking car out there, but if the engine's busted, you're not going anywhere. A strong inner engine, a calm mind, a healthy body, that's the real foundation for a good life.
Second is what you have. This is all the external stuff we spend so much time chasing. The wealth, the property, the status symbols. And Schopenhauer has a serious warning for us here. Sure, you need a certain amount to live, but anything extra doesn't actually add happiness. Instead, it just piles on the worry, the anxiety about losing it all. It becomes this heavy burden you have to carry around.
And number 3, what you represent. This is your reputation, your social status, what other people think about you. Schopenhauer thought this was a massive source of our modern misery. I mean, when you're constantly obsessing over what other people think, you're basically living in a prison built by their opinions. Real freedom, that comes from self-respect, from not needing that external thumbs up.
All right, so that's the diagnosis. Kind of bleak, right? We're way too focused on what we have and how we look, and not nearly enough on who we are inside. So, what's the solution? How do we actually start building a calmer, more solid life? Let's get into the blueprint. It all starts with the decisions you make, big and small. Before you make a choice, Schopenhauer would tell us to just pause and ask a really simple question. Am I doing this because of a genuine need, or am I just trying to feed my ego? Is this going to bring me some real, lasting peace, or just a quick hit of validation that's going to leave me wanting more? This idea really nails the whole mindset. I mean, think about it. We're always told to take the fastest route, right? Climb that ladder as quickly as you can, even if it wrecks your health and your relationships. Schopenhauer would look at that and say, that's a trap. Instead, he says, go for the path that's smoothest and safest, the one that cuts down on stress and actually protects your well-being. It's about playing the long game, not just sprinting.
And this isn't just about huge life decisions. It's about the everyday stuff, too. In your friendships, are you chasing popularity, or are you nurturing a few really solid connections? At work, are you sacrificing your health for a deadline, or are you protecting your most valuable asset? Are you really willing to trade your inner peace for a bigger title or a fatter paycheck? These are the gut check questions that really define a quiet life.
I love this analogy because it just perfectly captures his whole take on ambition. The person who's always racing, always pushing to win at all costs. They're eventually just going to blow the engine. But the person who actually takes time for maintenance, for rest, for their health, for some quiet reflection, that's the one who's actually going to go the distance in the long run.
Okay, so to get a really sharp picture of what Schopenhauer is saying, it's super helpful to put his ideas side by side with another famous philosophy you've probably heard of, Stoicism. They're both aiming for a kind of peace, but where they start from is completely different. See, for Schopenhauer, his starting point is that life is, well, mostly suffering. So for him, the whole game is to minimize that pain. The Stoics, on the other hand, they'd say life itself is neutral. It's our judgments about things that cause suffering.
Schopenhauer says people will let you down, so it's smart to keep a safe distance. The Stoics say just accept people for who they are. Ultimately, they both want an inner fortress, but Schopenhauer protects himself by keeping his distance, while the Stoics find protection inside their own heads.
And if you remember just one thing about the difference, let it be this. The Stoics teach you how to stand strong in the middle of a storm. Schopenhauer teaches you how to design a life where you avoid the storm in the first place. It's the difference between endurance and engineering. And that's a huge difference.
So, let's bring it all home. What's the one big idea, the core takeaway that pulls all of this together? It's a really simple but honestly revolutionary shift in how you look at things.
This right here, this is the heart of Schopenhauer's practical wisdom. True contentment isn't about getting everything you want, it's about wanting less in the first place. And man, there is a deep, quiet kind of freedom in that, right? It's the freedom that comes from needing less from the world.
To put it another way, it's 3 simple things. You get control of what's going on in your head, you intentionally simplify what you want out of life, and you consistently, deliberately choose the path of calm over the path of chaos. And when you do that, life doesn't magically stop being hard, but your journey through it, it gets a whole lot lighter.
And so that leaves us with one final, and I think really powerful question to ask ourselves. Instead of always thinking, what else do I need to add to my life to be happy? Maybe the better question is this one. What could you subtract from your life to make a little more room for peace?